Good evening, beautiful people. Welcome back to Share Your Story Sundays. So, anyhow, I'm super excited to highlight Mr. Hookfin, who is my fourth bonus dad. I'm pretty positive that a lot of you will, hopefully, a lot of you will know some of the highlights that I'll share, but I know that a lot of you have your own special stories or highlights about Mr. Hookfin and how he impacted your life. So I hope you take the time to actually put in a comment or say something about him. And, I just think it's great. On that note, I'll just highlight one thing before I get started. Intentional Dads Movement is all about highlighting men that are intentional about fatherhood, right? Intentional about their contributions in a child's life, whether it be their biological children or their bonus children or their coach, they may be coaching or whatever. But they're intentional. And let me really share again what my definition of intentional is, right? As it relates to what I'm doing with Intentional Dads. It's all about a person being purposeful, not perfect. So no one is perfect. No one, when we're highlighting men, we're not saying that they are without flaws. We're not without flaws, right? So with that being said, we still all like to be acknowledged for what we are doing. And so I think, especially in today's world now, we can be more generous with our compliments, generous with our appreciation, and we could be more intentional about saying what it is that we're doing, and more generous about what we do to acknowledge other people. Let me fix this camera, guys. It keeps sliding down. I don't know what's going on. Anyhow, so hey, if you need help, you can always reach out via DM. I also have put on our Intentional Dads Movement groups what you can do if you need help to highlight a father. We do Fly Father Fridays each Friday, and you can help. You can acknowledge a father that way, and I would be more than happy to partner with you to do that. But again, I just think it's time that we take the time to acknowledge, right? Anyhow, and hey, mothers as well, I think we do a phenomenal job, right? But I think we're equipped to actually encourage and support men in a special way, so that they continue to do what they need to do and be who I believe God created them to be. So anyhow, let me get straight to Mr. Hookfin. So I went to Eckstein Middle School, and I had the pleasure of meeting Mr. Hookfin and Mrs. Hookfin early on let me untwist my tongue, early on in my education career, if you will, at Eckstein, and they immediately just started pouring a lot of love and support into me. And Mr. Hookfin, and this I might go back and forth with Mr. and Mrs. Hookfin, because they were truly a power couple in my perspective. I had not seen a lot of healthy relationships, nor had I seen a lot of partnerships in that space. And again, I shared with you guys last couple of weeks that I didn't have a lot of exposure I had some exposure to what men look like, good men look like, and but I also had a really tough experience with a man that wasn't so great, and he actually made a huge impact on my life and really impacted how I really respected authority. So when I met Mr. Hookfin, of course, he was in an authority role at the school, and he lovingly knew how to correct all of us if we were going down the wrong path. He knew, I mentioned last week, the balance of compassion and correction. When you're able to really balance that and invest that in someone, how it really helps to build character. And I would say that Mr. Hookfin knew how to balance that so well. He would pour compassion into you, made you feel like you mattered, and he connected very well. But if you needed to have some course correction, he would definitely be straightforward and bring you in and share with you what you needed to correct. And again, that helped to build the character that we need in order to grow and mature. And so if he saw me in the hallway and I wasn't acting right, which was probably frequently, he would pull me to the side and ask me, what are you doing? Where are you going? What is the problem? Why are you not where you're supposed to be? And he held me accountable for answering those questions. And clearly I didn't know, my responses were not were not what they should have been, but he listened to me. And once he listened, after I gave a lot of stuff that was irrelevant, probably, he then would listen and say, all right, you going back to class, you need to get there. But sometimes I would come to school and I had difficulties because I had things going on at home, a lot of heavy things. And when I felt like that and he sensed certain things, he didn't mind bringing me into the office and listening to what I had to share about what I was going through. And he definitely didn't allow me to feel like it was okay to still act out or be irresponsible. He said, okay, you're going through some things, it's tough at home, and I got it, but you still have a responsibility to do the right thing here. And that was huge for me, because oftentimes when people hear a child sharing how tough it is at home, they want to really, wrap them in their arms and really help them in a way that sometimes can sometimes produce a experience that the child then starts to come and they always share different things, but they don't learn that tough times happen. And just because you have tough times, just because you have a situation at home that's not ideal, doesn't mean that you are not responsible for investing in yourself and respecting the people here that are investing in you. And he was very clear in his message when he shared those things to me, with me. I'm sorry. And let me fix this again. I don't know what's going on with it. Anyhow, but he took the time to share that. And when he did that, I realized that, again, he was compassionate. He connected with me. He heard me. But he said, Shay, you still need to course correct. You still have a responsibility to do the right things by the people here that are trying to invest in you. And that was significant to me, because it told me, it probably was one of my early on Fashay, build a bridge and get over yourself, right? But not in a negative way, but really, okay, you need to be able to toughen up in this area. And it was helpful for me. The other thing I want to highlight about Mr. Hookfin is that I think he was just such a meek soul. He was, of course, very physically very tall and big, and he was like a strong figure to me, but I also felt his gentle spirit. I felt that he was very much, just a meek spirit. And what definition I love to use around meekness is a person that is able to have power, but under control. And so they execute their power and their strength when necessary, but they don't always assert their authority if it's not necessary. They know how to really exercise the muscle that God has given them. And I think he was a perfect example of that. Most of you that know me know that I'm a believer in Christ, and I believe that Christ is also a perfect example of meekness, right? He had all the power, but that he could, execute or deliver immediately in different situations that were not ideal, but he knew how to, he was reserved, and he knew exactly when to pull back, when to apply, etc. And I think Mr. Hookfin had that type of quality. He no doubt was a respected and powerful authority figure, right? But again, he knew how to come where you were and meet you where you were so that he could then help you level up. And I think that was phenomenal for me. Again, I mentioned that Mr. and Mrs. Hookfin for me were power couples. Was a power couple, I'm sorry. And I hadn't seen a lot of power couples at that time in my life. And I never knew that they could work in the same space and really be so effective. And so they also gave me a good preview about around the topic of partnership, effective partnership, and how when you are in a relationship, partnership is key in order to be able to tag team and support each other and help each other. And if you know how to do it well, it is amazing. And I think they just knew how to do it well. Mom Hookfin, I loved her so much, and I still do love her so much. But at that time in my life, my mom wasn't at home a lot. And so I spent a lot of time with Mrs. Hookfin after school. And Mr. Hookfin probably told me, you need to get on in there to mom's classroom and do something productive. And so she held a cooking class after school. And in that home economics cooking class, she exposed us to so much. We didn't get to just cook the different things that we were used to. She really challenged us to learn different things, learn new types of recipes. And you guys know, well, if you know me, I like to eat. So it didn't take much convincing for me to stay after school. But when she started to teach us how to do different things like steam and cook artichokes and make butter sauces and things of that nature, that clearly I wasn't making those things at home. But I thought it was fascinating. And she would even stop me if I was acting out of character and say, that's not what you want to do as a lady, right? Here's what you want to do. And so I had mentioned it that in my publication of this Share Your Story Sunday moment that I would share with you real quick some information about or the story behind my expression in the picture. And so Mom and Dad Hookfin always, again, allowed me to express my experience to them, whatever I was dealing with. So oftentimes it probably had to do with boys and who I wanted to date and who I shouldn't have been dating and all that. And Dad Hookfin had always told me, Shay, you need to stop messing with this guy because he's a snake in the grass. Or you know, he's all right. You can talk to him, but be careful. He would give me those tidbits. Mom as well, she would say, you need to watch him because I saw him in the classroom messing with this girl or that girl, and be careful where you invest your time. And at that time, I really didn't appreciate it as much, but I listened to it and I cataloged it in my memory file. But Dad Hookfin, when we were at my graduation, which is the picture that I posted, he was getting on to me one more time and saying, you see that guy over there? Don't talk to him again after after this. Or and just was reminding me, okay, remember what I taught you around going to school, making sure when you're at school, be present, be respectful. It's tough at home, but Fashay, there's an expectation that you need to just be great. And that's what I expect. Not only in school, but also your choice of of the guys that you're dating. And again, I don't want to have any problems out of you. And so anyway, I just thought all of what I experienced with both Mr. and Mrs. Hookfin helped me so much. And I had the pleasure of coming back to Seattle some years back and taking my daughter to see them at their new schools. And that was great because my daughter got to experience them and see them. So anyhow, that wraps up my Share Your Story Sunday this Sunday.